we have some further issues to address. So when I shake the front end side to side, you can hear the play. And the way I'm seeing that front tire kind of have that little extra shimmy to it, I'm thinking tie rods are no good. We'll replace them, realign it. But we have a little bit of a bigger issue than that. So when I do shake it side to side, you can see the play happening at the lower part of the steering stem where the tie rods go in. That makes me believe that when I remove that tie rod, that hole for the tie rod is egg-shaped or oval-shaped. You know, it's causing the whole tie rod to move and have that play. I also have another issue with the steering stem is when I pull up and release, we have some play up and down, some movement up and down. You can hear the clicking. When you see the movement down there, that's telling me that that bushing is worn out and it's had enough. So through this inspection, we obviously have to address some issues with the steering stem. So let's get to work. It is freaking hot today. And I can't have the fan on because then you won't be able to hear me, and all you're gonna hear is and me. So if you're wondering, whoa, how'd you get all the plastics off so fast? Well, obviously I recorded that earlier when I was going over this bike. And if you tuned into previous videos, you would notice that. You could always go back to the previous videos and check them out. You could also hit the subscribe button because I don't understand why you haven't yet. And we'll keep going forward. But today we're going to really focus on that steering stem. I'm going to remove this right now. Just going to pop the handlebars off, lay them on the tank. We got 2 bolts right up here. That's where the rubber bushing is. We got a main bolt down at the bottom. That's going to be where our bearing and seal is. And I have to remove the tie rods, or at least the inner tie rod bolts, get the tie rods off of it, and she should pop right out. So these have the Turner fat bars on it. Not going to remove the entire clamp, just the top. Just get these bars out of the way. Try to just let them dangle. Break your wires and stuff like that. All right, let's go down the bottom. Get your cotter pin out. Always make sure you close your eyes when you cut them. Well, how am I supposed to get it off? I can't. I don't think that's the right size, but let's see. Guess it was the right size. It is. I'm like barely even doing anything. You know, I mean, this is that. I don't know what kind of heat you're dealing with. You can comment below and, you know, tell me what's different. But we're a good, strong 70% humidity. No rain, no clouds. Just, you know, pure sun blasting. Let's warm the earth from the core kind of heat today. All right, 2 bolts up top. I know, I'll try and stop bitching about the heat. You're sitting over there, nice and comfortable. I'm bitching. I'll stop. So it just slides out. So, I wonder if I have the wrong freaking one. Huh. What bushing do I freaking have if this one's beat? Huh. I guess we'll have to see in about a minute. But let's slide this out. Doesn't really look bent. I might have to order this, because I don't know if I did. Son of a bitch. Hang on a minute. So I'm getting a little ahead of myself right here. I was thinking that this was, I thought maybe I ordered one or had a spare one. I don't. And I was a little confused once I pulled the steering stem off that this was really no good, because it does have a little bit of play, you know, as the steering shaft kind of slides through there. It's got a little bit of play. You can see the wiggle. So it kind of threw me off a little bit. And the kit I have, I just took everything out. Lower steering stem kit for all these bikes. God, I'll wait while you read them. Okay. This is all the lower part. These two bushings right here. These cute little bushings. These will tuck in on this. Just like that. And then the other half will go on. So that'll tighten all this up. I just kind of got confused because there was only one on here. There obviously wasn't a bottom one, so that has to do a lot with our play. I actually had to look in the book. Looked in the book. Highly recommend always having Clymer or something. And, you know, it helped me just figure out the order, figure out what was what, make my life a little bit easier. I do have one more thing to pop off the frame, and that's this piece. This little top hat that actually goes into the frame. I'm gonna whack that out right now, and then we'll come back to this and finish up on that. Or, yeah, I mean, come on, man. Work with me here, because I am just struggling. Another day I'm struggling. Every day I'm struggling. Here's a little top hat. I'm just gonna use a socket, a persuader, and it should smack out, huh? All right, I think I need an extension. The little top hat out. This is actually in really good shape, you know, compared to the new one. I put it on the end of the shaft here. They basically have the same amount of play. So I am actually going to keep this for any future issues that we may have. We're going to continue down here, getting this cup off. I'm just using a small pry bar. It appears there's some things missing here. So this seems to be like it was done before, but it seems to have some things missing. Let me just clean it up and then I'll show you. And we'll put it together. All right, now she looks all nice and fresh there. So with the new seal, here's the old seal. The old one, the new one, shinier. This little ring was not on the old one. It just goes on it. Just like this. All right, see how that ring's on there? And then it's just going to snap into place. What it's gonna do is kind of snap. Can I show this to you? All right, you see that little groove? See that groove? That's basically how this goes on and holds into place. Okay? So you can't forget this little O-ring first. I'll put a little grease on it. This way nothing kind of snags up at all. So we got that O-ring in there. Did you hear that little click? Up, and it came off. Son of a bitch. Okay, we're gonna have to do it this way. Get this one on first. Then can I get that clip on? Is it gonna allow me to do that? Am I blocking the entire camera? Believe it or not, I've never done a Suzuki before. All right, so now I'm just gonna click it on, get it in its groove, and now it's holding that seal in place. All right, so we got that rubber O-ring, then this seal. Make sure it all still fits. This is gonna be in the chassis, so we can just make sure that everything's gonna fit right. So it just kind of locks into place. So when this is in the frame, the shaft will slide down on it, and that's how everything gets nice and tight and all freshened up. So there is no bearing in this. I thought maybe there was, but it's just like a bushing style. And that's how it's gonna be. So don't forget your little O-ring, it just came off. Little O-ring in there. So let's put a little grease on this. We're gonna bash this down into the frame. Get some on the inside. Get our shaft all lubed up. Yeah, so it slides right on in there. So I just got a little bit of a bigger socket, a little bit of a bigger extension. I'm gonna put it right on the top of that top hat. Give her a tapper down. Use a decent persuader. Should not take much. You know, we have grease on it, so it should just slide in. Man, I'm struggling. Zoom in. Hear the sound? Bang, bang. Nice and solid. That is all the way in. Now we're gonna finish up the top part. Just gonna kind of clean out. Seems like there's just some, I don't know, whether that's a part of the bushing, the old bushing, or maybe a little bit of sealant, or just, ow, or just years of crap. See the groove now that it's clean. Let's see if we can get her to focus at ya. Right here, look right here. See the groove? And then there's one kind of on top too. I'll finish cleaning it. And that's where those seals go. Oh yeah, look at all that. Look at that. Oh yeah. Like I said, we're a little bit winging it here, but you know, the boy's got some knowledge. So what I'm seeing here is an X in there. Can you see the X? See the X? Right? There's another one here. So you know what that is? We're going to clean that out a little bit, because that's going to hold a little bit of grease to help keep our girl sliding nice and smooth. There you go. See the gunk coming out? The gunk. Maintenance, baby, maintenance. Okay. Now we have these spacers, shafts that slide in the middle of it. Just gonna clean them up. Everything seems to have some grease on it, so you know, just to kind of go back with this bike, she's been loved. Like, it hasn't just been neglected, sitting in a shed, sitting outside. But if it was sitting outside, I don't think I would have bought it. I mean, I don't mind fixing these bikes and getting them to my maintenance level and stuff like that. But I don't know if I really want to deal with something that's been sitting outside for years and years and years. But who knows? Maybe one day we'll come across something and we will give her a whirl. Again, these will slide in between, and then your screws hold into place. So these are pretty prepped. We're just gonna get a little grease on her. Fill that X up. You know, we'll clean off any of the excess. Air lock. Oh, come on, will you? Look at it right there. There it is. See? We're all smudged up. Take our seals. We're gonna get the insides of them. Now, I might have to put this on like with the bike as I'm putting the shaft in place. I may have to do all this, but I just want to show you what it's going to look like. There's a little rib on it, and that's going to go into the groove, rib in the groove. Say little nipples. So it's got the little nipples. The other one's got little nipples. So opposite. It's got holes on one side, nipples on the other. Male, female, boys, girls, innie, outie. Squeezes together, and there's your seal. I don't know what this is. It's almost like an RTV, but it might be just grease and dirt and years of fun. That's all cleaned up. We're ready. Let's put it back on the bike. You know what? I did have a possible issue with the tie rod and that play. We didn't really look at that, did we? I almost forgot, we have that tie rod that's really bouncing around. I might have to get a little creative here because I really don't want to try and find another steering stem. I'm sure people are going to think it's made of gold, so they're going to want some big money for it. What if what if I use some door bushings? I wonder if that'll work. So these are door bushings for an automobile. I guess if I could find one that fits over the tie rod end, maybe this will work. No, that is not gonna work. The idea is to get this bushing in that hole, but look how thin it is. So it's so thin. I mean, if I open it up a real little bit, but I'm afraid it's just gonna break. These are soft, these are brass. What else can I do with this? Let's stink a minute, let's stink. So I figured out my game plan. The little bushing idea is not gonna work. I really did discover what the real problem was. So the holes are still pretty round, but if you look, oh, see how that's indented? See how this one's not? Well, that's the problem. What happened, what caused that, through a little detective work, they put these two washers, look how small they are, look how thin they are, right? These two little baby washers went in between the tie rod end and the steering stem mount. Look, instead of drilling anything out and creating anything really bad and effing up with the alignment, I'm just gonna put thicker washers that the tie rods will fit. These are nice and thick, and they will ride on top. Then the tie rod will go in, and then we'll put these washers in the bottom where the nut will screw on. And I believe, but I won't know until we do it, I believe that'll get that tie rod to clamp down and get rid of all that excessive play, or at least really reduce it to where it's not feeling like the front end's gonna fall apart. One thing I'm gonna do, which you never see me do, is I'm gonna put a little paint on that, right? Because this seal, this isn't gonna cover the whole thing that I've cleaned up. So I'm just gonna put a little paint on it, let this dry, drink some cold water, and then we'll come back and put this on the bike. So sit tight, go get a drink of water. Right, put a little paint on her so it's not just exposed metal that's just gonna rust all the shit. After dealing with everything, let's get a little more grease on the end of this. This is the cup that's gonna go on the bottom. So remember, this goes in the frame. This is what's gonna go in the bottom. All right, and it's kind of like a part of the frame goes inside this cup. So fill this up with a little bit of grease. This is gonna have to get tapped on. Just be gentle because it's really thin. If you want to compare it to the old one, here's the old one. It's kind of missing. There's no seal. You know, there's no rubber lip. It's just done. So, you know, we're replacing this at a pretty good time because, you know, you start going any further and now it's not just a worn out part anymore. And it starts to affect other things like destroying the steering stem, which is expensive. Goober her up a little bit. We'll go a little extra here so it slides on no problem, and kind of just helps press a little bit of grease into that bushing a little extra. There you go, there you go. You slide the stem in, this part towards the engine. So just fish it through. It should just slide through, no problems. We're gonna take our little cup, then it'll be the thick washer that was on there, and then the nut and a cotter pin. A little bit of persuasion. We're gonna put this on a torque wrench, but we're just gonna get her started, and then we're gonna put the top on. All right. It's good for right now. You know, one of the good things about doing maintenance is when you do maintenance right, and you got to come back and do more maintenance or repeat the maintenance later down the road, if you do it right, it shouldn't be a big deal. Okay, so don't forget how we have to install these. We're gonna put, doesn't really look like it matters which side is which. So I'm just paying attention to the groove. Remember the little rib? Making sure that's in the correct spot. See how well she wants to work with me here. Slip our little spacers in there. Loctite is on. Reassemble. I'll kind of put the handlebars back on. Okay. We'll adjust those handlebars as we get a little further down the road. Let me see. Let's start at the bottom. It says between... So the upper ones are between 13 and 20 and 27 and 44. Again, I got it set at 35. Feels pretty tight. Yeah, let's back that down a little bit. 27, 44. Let's try 30. All right, that feels snug. Not too tight. There's 15. I'm gonna get them snug, and then we'll torque them. So we're definitely, sorry, I'm dripping sweat here. So we were definitely tight. Like there was no play in this. That feels awesome. Now we're gonna do cotter pins, and then we'll get the tie rods on, and then see if that works. You know what, we'll get them on now. So we're gonna do this washer. Hopefully that'll help cure that problem. Thin washer. Then our nut. Tie rods. About 30 pounds. We can torque them. I need that 15mm wrench. What did I do with it? It's on the floor. Get my freaking wrench back. Where's the click? There it is. Whew. Definitely tighter. So I slide my wrench, basically a nut on that side of the heim joint. Okay. Well, that definitely all feels tight, but it doesn't feel too tight. It feels a lot better than it did. Whew. Now we get the cotter pins on, snip them. We'll go this way. Snips. And well, it looks like we are nice and tight now. Side to sides, no problem. Up and down. You know, my tie rods still twist the way they're supposed to, because you can't have them joints too tight. And I got no extra play. I feel like I'm about to pass out. But, you know, that would, I guess, make for a good video, but, or a popular video. Not really what I'm going for. As you can see, up and down, nothing extra. Side to side, nothing extra. I got no extra wiggle over here. No extra wiggle anywhere. Sound like a Dr. Seuss. Not too bad of a job. I mean, a little bit I had to figure out. I do recommend torquing your suspension parts and steering parts because it's just, you kind of want them what the engineers recommend. So they're tight, they're not over tightened or they're too loose. And now this bike is so tight in a good way. No extra play, no nothing. And that pulls away from fatigue, and that just kind of builds a little confidence when you are rattling through the trails or on the track that everything feels tight. So if things start to kind of get loose and show a little play again, I'm gonna start thinking loose bolts or other things are worn out. Keep up on your maintenance. You know, don't neglect your bike. You know, if you're in the air or ripping around a big tree that wants you to kiss it, don't let your bike be the reason it fails, right? Rider error, not bike error. We don't do that on this channel. So that's all I got for this one. Hope it helps you out. I did have a little bit of struggles today. I'll mention it one more time. It's a little warm. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel, please. If you liked the video, give her a little thumbs up, share it, review it, leave a comment. Let me know how things are going. And on the next video, we are going to change out the front tires. I'm going to show you how I change them out and do an alignment on this. Pretty simple. And yeah, I'll see you then. Later.